Welcome to the 24K Life Podcast, the place where your journey to a golden life begins. I'm your host, Derek Gant, advisor, coach, and your resource to achieving something significantly greater. You know, each week I like to dive into strategies that will help you to transform the ordinary into the extraordinary. And believe me, once you put in a little effort, you can become extraordinary. You know, the 24K life is all about self-mastery, about overcoming our impurities, going through the process, the fire to purify ourselves, to rise and come out of the flames as something of excellence. Whether you're listening to this on your morning commute or if you're in the gym, I encourage you to take a listen, to take some notes, to understand that this message is for you to improve where you are quickly to get to where you want to be. So we're going to crack the code today, and we're going to talk about how money has gotten a bad rap. Money has been taboo for a long time. And I believe with all of my heart and 30 plus years of experience that it's been that way in order to keep the haves having and the have-nots broke. You know, so the secret, the taboo, the oddities, the intricacies about money are there to keep people feeling some kind of way so that it appears to be unattainable. And even when you attain it, it's not keepable because you've made it. Now you don't have it. So we're going to talk about that today. And I'll tell you about my monetary journey. You know, it's been really interesting, especially from the perspective of being a money manager. And if you know anything about doctors, they make the worst patients. And so as an advisor, I was a terrible patient of my own. And we're going to talk about that for a second. So when I started my money journey as an advisor, I started off in the insurance game. So, you know, the firm that I worked with, every problem a person could have, in their opinion, could be solved by buying a little bit of life insurance. You know, you have an ache and pain, buy some life insurance. You short on some money, buy some life insurance. You know, and that is the protocol of a salesperson, right? Their product is going to fix the world. And I knew right away, you know, I mean, got a little bit of training, but right away within the first year that this was not right. This was not the only solution. And I knew that because I watched the way that the most successful insurance agents lived their life. I watched what they did with their money, and they weren't putting it all in insurance. They were buying real estate, and they were buying antique cars that appreciated. They were buying baseball cards and memorabilia. They were investing in other things other than insurance. So I knew, okay, something's up with this. So we got to figure this out. But I will say this: the founder, John F. Savage, was my first true professional mentor. And the firm that I worked for was Savage and Associates. So it was founded by him. And he was not of the ilk that life insurance solved all of your problems, but it was a great place to start. Now, don't get excited. Don't get too nervous. I'm not going to sit here and talk about life insurance. We're talking about the money game. I'm just telling you how I started in the money game. And so I sold insurance for a year or two, and I did it really well. But what I noticed is that nobody wanted to talk about insurance. Nobody wants to talk about death and dying and all those things. They wanted to talk about how to live, how to have more fun, how to have more life. So that led me to get an investment license. So I got my investment license to start helping people figure out how to not only have good protection on the insurance side, but how to multiply their money on the investment side. And how rewarding is it to be able to deliver people solutions that truly will transform, and I use that word on purpose, not change their lives, but transform their lives. You know, when you want to change, you might decide that you're just going to do something a little different, and that change is not lasting. It might last for a small window as long as you're doing the thing. But if you want to transform your life, become a completely new thing, that's what we're talking about. And you should keep listening if that's who you want to be. That's what you want in your life. But John Savage was a remarkable man. He used to have a book. He's unfortunately deceased. He has a book called Don't Sweat the Small Stuff. And it's all small stuff in smaller quotes. And the book was so empowering, impactful to me because the things that we worry about on a day-to-day basis are relatively and most often insignificant. They're the things that don't move the needle one way or the other. They're just things that keep us distracted from the real game. And inside Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, it's almost like along the lines of never let them see you sweat. But it's not even that you're not letting people see you sweat. It's that you're not sweating. And you're not sweating because you're focusing on key components of your life that are going to move the needle. And moving that needle is getting you where you want to go, right? It's from going 20 miles an hour, being stuck in traffic, to being able to be on the Autobahn going 100 miles an hour, knowing that you're in control of the vehicle and that you're safe and that there is a clear, concise pathway for your success. You know, one of the things that I noticed about my clients over the 30 years is that their perception of money, their perception of rich people. Now, most of us received our concepts about money through the church. I know I was inundated through the church. I grew up in a Pentecostal household. I went to a Catholic grade school and high school. So I was inundated with, you know, all of the analogies and the stories in the Bible about people being rich and people being poor. And it comes across as it's better to be poor or broke, because poverty is a mindset, not really a reality. But it was better to be broke and giving than to have and give. It was like, hey, this woman gave her last penny and she was okay. You know, I'm not going to get into a religious conversation, but here's what I will get into. We all know about karma. We all know about reaping and sowing. So yeah, we all want to give to our fellow person, our fellow man, but the first entity you need to give to is yourself. You need to give and invest in yourself. And I noticed that the biggest difference between the clients of mine that have and the clients that have not is how they prioritize their needs, their wants, and then they decide to pivot when they know they're going in the wrong direction. They don't wring their hands. They don't wonder. They don't sit there and toil and mess. They will say, I'm in pig shit and I need to get out of it. And they will stand up and find a water hose if they have to clean off, to get to the next stage of clean living, of healthy living, of having the lifestyle that they want. So you have to learn how to prioritize and pivot very quickly, because there's so many things going on in our universe. You know, you can get caught up into payday loans. You can get caught up into cash advances, or you can get up into shopping on Amazon. You know, there's so many ways and credit cards for us to have our money going sideways. You got to understand, if you truly want to have something of substance, you have to prioritize yourself first. And when you spend all your money on Amazon, when you spend all of your money on a Birkin bag, when you spend your money on non-appreciating items, you are not investing in yourself. You're investing in your ego. You're investing in society. You are following the other sheep. You don't want to be a sheep. You want to be a shepherd. You want to lead the way, not follow. Following is cool when you're in a lane that you don't know anything about. But let me tell you, there is no one on God's green earth that knows more about you than you. You have to understand that you're okay. You are enough. You are worth the attention, the investment, and the solitude of not living check to check, of not being broke, of not putting your money in spaces that are going to harm you, not help you, and that you're willing to say enough is enough and I'm ready to be her. I'm ready to be him. Who's her? Who's him? The one that's leading the way, the one that has resources and options and opportunities and choices. Because you have those resources, it gives you the opportunities and the choices to go in directions that you know will help you not only improve your life, but help you live the life that you so chose. You know, there was a time that I thought I was him. I acted like I was him, but I didn't have the full picture, even as an investment advisor. What does that mean? You know, there was a time that I went out and I bought the big house. And when I say built big house, I mean, I bought a house where the average price in the neighborhood was $1.3 million. Okay. I lived in the big house with the 5 acres of land and the jacuzzi and the pool and the lake and all the things, all the amenities. So I was making a ton of money, but I was spending a ton of money too because of ego. Because of, I didn't realize that making money was easy, but keeping money was the difficult part. And if you go out there and spend all that you make, or you spend enough of it that when you don't make the same amount, it kind of bottlenecks your life, then you're not him and you're not her. And if you want to be that person, we have to figure out how to not only make great money, but keep great money. Because keeping it is what's going to truly separate you from your needs and your wants. And your wants will get you effed up every time if you don't have them in check. You know, people will go out and buy a car, a brand new car, that will equate to 20% of their income. I know it sounds absurd, but if you go and you look at your car payment, look at your insurance, look at your maintenance, and look at the gasoline, and then divide that into your income, what percentage of your income is that? People with money and resources, it's insignificant. It's not 10%, it's not 15%, it's not 20%. What am I saying? Start looking at the numbers. Start looking at how you're prioritizing where you're putting your cash, because cash is still king. Cash is still queen. There's nothing that trumps cash on hand. And I'll tell you this, most people, when you think about it, they don't worry about the money because they say, I don't have any money to worry about. I don't have any credit, so who cares about identity theft? But let me tell you something, that is exact connotation why it's more difficult to be rich than it is to be poor, than it is to be broke, than it is to be have not. The haves have a harder time. The question becomes, are you willing to go through the fire to put up with the harder time to actually have an easier life? Because it does take work. You've heard of the people that win the lottery and every family member or friend that they ever thought they had came out of the woodwork, came after them, needed a life crisis loan or contribution. We've all heard of those people. We also know that the 85% of lottery winners go broke within 5 years. We know that 90+% of pro athletes that make millions upon millions go broke within 2 years after they're retiring. After they stop playing that sport, they go broke. Even in today's modern age, with all of the technology, with all of the examples of prior lottery winners, prior athletes that have gone broke, they still fall into the money trap. So we want to talk about how you actually get out of that mindset. It's not complicated. I've already shared it with you. You have to prioritize and pivot. You have to constantly be prioritizing where you're putting your money. And you might say, and I asked this to students when I was teaching college courses. I asked this to my clients. I asked this in lectures. Do you believe that wealthy people know where all of their money is? Do you believe they know? And I will tell you that the overriding group will reply, no, they don't know how much money they have. They don't know where it's all at because they're rich and they have so much money. And I'm going to turn the tables on you and say that is 100,000% false, because what you focus on expands. What you ignore goes away. So if you are focused on your money, meaning you know what your priorities are, you know where your dollars are going, then you are going to do a better job of prioritizing those dollars because that's what you're focused on. When you say, I don't have money, so swiping this card to buy this outfit is no big deal because I normally don't have money anyway, that's why you don't have any money. You haven't prioritized and you just frivolously get out there and you spend. Wealthy people invest in assets. They invest in themselves. They don't invest in liabilities. A liability is going upstairs and in my home and going into my closet, looking at all of the $1,000 suits that I own and then trying to sell them. They're worthless to anybody but me. Worthless. Nobody's going to pay $500 for those suits. They're not going to pay $100 for those suits. They might take them in goodwill, but they're not worth anything. Those are called depreciating assets. Those are called liabilities. And we need to understand the difference between assets and liabilities. We need to understand the difference between spending and investing. And you want to become an investor. And you want to invest because the spenders are putting your stock up in the blocks. They're the ones making your price go up. It's the spenders. You don't want to be one of them. You want them to be under your investment strategy, promoting your Pepsi stock that you own or your Coca-Cola stock that you own or your Hershey's chocolate stock that you own, or you own a part of a major company like Amazon. You own the stock of Amazon. So when people have Amazon addictions, you're like, okay, that's fine. I don't have an Amazon addiction, or my Amazon addiction is investing and owning the company, not buying stuff to fill up corners of my home that are already too cluttered. You know, I'll tell you, I bought the big house, as I told you. And the problem when I say being wealthy is harder than being broke is because when I needed someone to come fix anything, it didn't matter what it was. And one of my close friends and also mentor who was a silver spoon, right? Meaning he inherited his wealth, had a couple airplanes and 2 or 3 houses across the country, traveled exclusively around the best properties, the one and only, and all those type of things. He told me, he says, listen, man, now that you bought this big ass house in this rich neighborhood, everything that you want done is going to be a minimum of $500. And I just looked at him like, what are you talking about? And he just said, don't worry about it. You'll figure it out. And I tell you what, I called somebody to come look at the sprinkler system. Now the sprinkler system was already in place. It just needed to be tweaked and fixed. They wanted $500. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. One window breaks. Just to come look, $500. And so I caught on real quick what he meant. And what he meant was when they drive into the neighborhood, all of their prices go up. You have to understand that there is a price to pay. That's part of keeping it. I didn't factor in the keeping it part. And there's no way I could have because I had never been there. No one in my family had ever been in that value of a home in that neighborhood. So there was no one there to tell me except my mentors after I pulled the trigger because I didn't go seek their advice. I just thought, I got it. I figured it out. I can afford this. I'm going to do it. This is great. So I was making it and I was spending it. I wasn't keeping it. And let me tell you something. I kept enough to get in the house. I kept enough to be able to maintain my lifestyle. But man, I wasn't keeping enough to make it really matter. Not truly matter. I just elevated my neighborhood. But my lifestyle, yes, it elevated, but I wasn't doing anything significantly greater. I wasn't able to help other people with significant more greatness because I was spending more money. So you want to make sure that you distinguish between making it and keeping it. You know, it's no secret that when people drive into a wealthy neighborhood, something that's going to cost $1,000, it's automatically $1,800. Automatically, before they even give you a quote, their bargain basement price is going up. So we want to focus on this. We want to say to you, listen, when I say it's easy to make it, what I really am saying is that once you tap into your greatness, once you tap into your source of excellence, the gift that you have that the rest of the world needs, you will make the money. If you decide that you want to prioritize not just your money, but your time and your attention, what you focus on expands. I've already said that. So when you decide that you're going to eliminate the bullshit in your life and that you're going to focus on the things that are going to enhance your life, and we're not talking about the material things, we're talking about investing in hard assets, in opportunities that are going to enhance your life, including investing in yourself, going to a conference, taking an online course, hiring somebody to help you elevate your skill set. Those are all assets that you cannot put a price tag on. But you can put a price tag on that thing you just ordered on Amazon. You can put a price tag on the things that you're buying that are completely and utterly worthless the day after you buy them. You know, my first car I purchased out of college, I drove it off the lot and showed it to all my friends. You know, my friends loved it. I graduated a year before my friends, so they were still playing ball. So I drove up to the school, showed them the new ride. They loved it. And then within 2 weeks, the new model of the car I purchased came out, and I wanted that. So I said, let me take this car back. Let me trade it in. I might pay a couple bucks, but no big deal. And I'm only 22, so I don't know anything. Take the car back. And they laughed at me. They said, look, you drove that car off the lot and it depreciated $5,000. If you want to give us $5,000 to get the new model, we'd be more than happy to take it and swap you out. That was my first adult lesson on buying depreciating assets. I didn't know that as soon as I drove that car off the lot, the value dropped so incredibly significant. And when I say significant, I'm talking it was that $5,000 was 20% of the price that I paid. It dropped 20% as soon as I took ownership and possession of it. So understand that when you're taking a look and you're doing inventory of your life, you want to begin to prioritize, even with your workouts. Are you doing things that are for your glamour muscles? Are you doing things that are for your core and your stability? Are you doing things the older you get? Are you worried about how you look or how you feel? Because if you feel amazing, you will do and live an amazing life. You will deliver amazing. Your vibe is going to be amazing. But if you're unstable because you're not doing your core exercises, you're just doing your glamour muscles. We're talking biceps, triceps, chest, right? If you're just doing the glamour muscles and your core is off, you're not going to have the stability in your day-to-day life to produce the energy that you need to live a 24K life. So at some point you need to transition, you need to pivot and understand that you need to prioritize the things that are going to make you better. Even in your relationships, maybe your communication, even in your relationships, maybe it's your reaction to somebody else's conversation, but you need to begin to invest in you. And you do that by prioritizing every aspect of your life. Are you spending too much time on what somebody else said about you? Because whatever they said, whatever they believe, that is theirs. It's not yours. You don't own that, nor should you ever try. Let that ish go. Step back into you. You only have so much power per day. You need to use that power for your own personal greater good. Step back, analyze your priorities. It's the Pareto principle. It's the 80-20 rule. I'm not going to go over it again right now, but I'm going to suffice to say that you only need 20% of the shit that you're doing in every aspect of your life. You only need the 20%. The 80% is fluff. Let that go. The 80% is what the sheeps are doing. They're following the entertainment stars. They're following the sports stars. They're talking about things that have no bearing on their next meal, their next investment, their next relationship, their next opportunity to be greater. They're just following the program. The program is not meant for you to be greater. Think about school. Think about your kids in school. They're not teaching them how to be greater. They're teaching them how to follow the roadmap to a life of mediocrity, right? They don't teach you to be greater. They don't teach you to tap into your personal greatness. They teach you to follow the group. The group does this, you should do this. The group is only excelling at these areas. This is what you should be excelling at as well. But maybe it's not your area of expertise. Maybe it's not your gift. So I'm going to teach you, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to implore you to tap into your greatness, your goodness, your excellence. Understand that that is going to be the key to your success. If you tap in, you prioritize, you focus, you master, and you understand self, which is 100% 24K, then you will produce excellence. And when you produce excellence, society will pay you a value. That's why the greatest players get the greatest contracts. That's why the greatest doctors get the greatest fees. They get paid more and they work less. Brain surgeons do not work every day. They don't do surgery every day, all day. Think about it. This is what they don't want you thinking about. Who are they? They is the system. The entire system wants you just unplugging, get your credit card, keep buying, keep working, keep paying the credit card, keep that balance going, right? Just keep it going. You'll be okay. But you're never going to stack enough cash to have choices, opportunities, and insights. And that's what you truly want. You want to be able to step back and have choices, have opportunities, have more resources. You know, we all have to overcome a mental hurdle. And that hurdle is what I just laid out for you. It's the fact that the society wants you to break your back and leave here broke. They don't want you having way too much fun, doing less, because that means you're going to realize that you can pay these debts off. You don't have to work until you're 75, that you can do more things and have more fun along the way without breaking the bank. You know, I know many of my colleagues, many of the people that listen to me, you know, have gone to church their entire life, and they've bought into the language of the Bible that dictates, you know, the first shall be last and the last shall be first, and it's easier for a rich man to pass through the eye of a needle than a camel to go through. You know, I've heard all the stories. I know them. I know the scriptures, and I'm here to say to you that God didn't create you to be broke. He didn't create you to suffer. He didn't create you to struggle your entire life. This game is not supposed to be destructive. It's not supposed to be stressful, but you have to take control. You have to learn to prioritize the information that you're taking in, no matter where it comes from. You have to put in your own common sense, prioritize, get clear, and then pivot to the things that will help you. Understand whatever will help you is not necessarily the same thing that's going to help someone else. That's why we're all different. We all have different interests. We have different abilities. We have different skill sets. Stick with yours. Stop looking at your neighbor. Quit worrying about what your friends bought. Stop thinking about, you know, what your cousin has or your friends have or your brother has, and start tapping into what you have. Tap into what you have, because self-mastery is the key to every aspect of your life, being golden. You don't need to talk about money. You just need to understand not only money, but the concepts of making it and keeping it. That means making great health decisions and keeping great health decisions. That means making a great relationship and keeping a great relationship. So this is not siloed into just the money conversation. I know that my expertise is in money, but I want to help you with the money, but you can't hear me if I don't get you to master the decisions that you're making, if I don't get you to understand how to prioritize and pivot on a consistent basis for your personal greater good, nothing will ever work out. Hey, I got your back. I'm your boy. I hope you decide to reach out if you need some help. You know what? We coach high-level people that are ready to prioritize and pivot, and they want to do it by any means necessary. I'm Derick Gant. Be your best. Bring your best. Leave nothing to chance.